Have you ever felt like you're playing by different rules than everyone else? Like you're constantly misunderstood, or worse, taken advantage of, simply because you lead with kindness. You put others first, you genuinely want to help, but somehow it always seems to backfire. What if I told you that in today's complex world, your greatest virtue can often be your biggest vulnerability? It's not fair, I know, but it's a truth we need to face. This isn't about becoming cynical or manipulative yourself. Absolutely not. This is about becoming unshakable. It's about mastering what I call the sovereign mindset, a powerful framework to protect your energy, amplify your influence, and reclaim your peace in a world that too often demands a piece of you. Stick around, because later in this video, I'll reveal the #1 mistake even the smartest people make that leaves them utterly vulnerable, and how you can fix it starting today. This is going to fundamentally change how you navigate your relationships, your career, and your life. We're taught from a young age to be open, to be trusting, to always be the bigger person. And in an ideal world, that advice would be perfect. But in the real world, the one we actually live in, this often backfires. The harsh truth is, not everyone operates with your same good intentions. Some people, unfortunately, see your sincerity, your open-heartedness as a weakness. They see it as an open door, an invitation for manipulation. They might mistake your kindness for naivety, your compassion for a lack of boundaries. Think of it like this. Your kindness is like a beautiful, grand castle with open gates. It's welcoming, inviting, a testament to your good nature. But if those gates are always open, with no drawbridge, no guards, no walls, it leaves you completely vulnerable to attack. Your kindness is a strength, yes, but it desperately needs walls, a watchful guard, and a strategic backbone to protect it. Have you ever been left scratching your head after someone took advantage of your good nature? Perhaps you lent money you never got back, or invested time in a relationship that only drained you, or said yes when every fiber of your being screamed no. If that hits home, share your experience in the comments below. Let's build a community where we acknowledge this truth, because understanding this vulnerability is the very first step towards building your sovereign mindset. Now, if unbridled openness is a risk, what's the solution? How do you protect your inner world without becoming a hermit or a hardened cynic? That brings us to our next crucial principle. So, if unbridled openness is a risk, and your kindness can be mistaken for weakness, what's the alternative? How do you protect yourself without retreating from the world or becoming someone you're not? It's not about becoming cold or dishonest. It's about mastering the art of the unreadable. Think of it as developing a strategic shield around your inner world. Being unreadable means mastering your emotional transparency. Your face, your words, your reactions. They become a deliberate choice, not an immediate broadcast. You're no longer an open book where anyone can read your next move, your anxieties, or your deepest desires. Instead, you become a profound, unwritten story, keeping others guessing. This isn't about deception. It's about denying others leverage. When people can't easily read you, they can't easily manipulate you. They don't know your weaknesses, your triggers, or what you truly want, which means they can't exploit them. The power of the unreadable lies in a few simple yet profound practices. the strategic pause. Before you react, speak, or show emotion, take a beat. A simple breath can give you back control. Active listening with a neutral expression. Let others do the talking. Let them reveal their hand. Your goal isn't to give information, but to gather it. Practice keeping your face calm, unreactive, even when you're feeling a strong emotion internally. Controlling your information flow. You don't need to share every thought, every feeling, every detail of your life. Be selective. Remember, what you don't say can be far more powerful than what you do. In a world of open books, be the profound, unwritten story. This shift allows you to observe, to understand, and to choose your responses deliberately, rather than reacting instinctively. It gives you an incredible edge. Ready to see how this unreadable presence combines with something even more powerful, your absence? Because learning to strategically disappear can make you far more valuable. Let's dive into that next. You've started building your strategic shield, becoming an unwritten story. But once you master your presence, control what you reveal, the next powerful layer of sovereignty is mastering your absence. This might sound counterintuitive, especially in a world that constantly tells us to be more visible, more connected, always on. But here's a fundamental truth of human psychology. The more available you are, the less valuable you often become. Think about it. Water is everywhere, right? It's essential, but it's often taken for granted. Diamonds, on the other hand, are rare, difficult to find, and fiercely coveted. Which one do people truly value? Which one commands respect and a high price? Strategic absence isn't about ghosting people or being rude or playing games. It's a profound act of self-respect. It's about valuing your time, your energy, and your presence so much that others are implicitly and sometimes explicitly forced to respect your boundaries and truly appreciate your contributions when you are present. Like a limited edition item, your time and attention become far more coveted when they're not constantly on display. When you step back, you create a void, and human nature abhors a void. People will notice your absence, they'll appreciate your contributions more keenly, and they'll value your presence when you return. This principle is so counterintuitive because it pushes against our desire to be liked and to always be helpful. But it's vital for true influence. This concept can be challenging. Has strategic withdrawal or choosing your moments to step back ever worked for you, even in a small way? Share your less is more story in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to hear your experiences. Mastering your presence through unreadability and then strategically leveraging your absence puts you firmly in control. But what happens when, despite all this, someone tries to cross a line? That's when you need to know how to build impenetrable boundaries. Let's talk about that next. You're becoming unreadable. You're mastering the art of strategic absence. These are incredibly powerful tools, but they mean nothing without an ironclad, non-negotiable defense system. Your boundaries. Think about it. We talked about how kindness can be exploited. Well, porous boundaries are the direct pathway to that exploitation. Here's a crucial truth to engrave in your mind. Tolerated disrespect always escalates. Every single time you let a boundary slide, you aren't being nice or accommodating. You're giving implicit permission for more. You're teaching others how to treat you. And if you don't define the line, they'll happily draw it for you, often far past what you're comfortable with. So, how do you build these unshakable lines in the sand? I call it the 3 Ds of boundary enforcement. Define your line. Get crystal clear on what you will and will not tolerate. What behaviors drain your energy? What actions feel disrespectful to you? This isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling your space and your standards. Deliver your boundary. Communicate it calmly and directly. No apologies, no lengthy explanations, no emotional outbursts. State your boundary as a fact. For example, if someone consistently interrupts you, you might calmly say, "Please let me finish," or "I'd appreciate it if you let me complete my thought." Detach and enforce. This is the most crucial and often hardest step. Your boundary isn't a request. It's a standard you hold for yourself. If they ignore your calmly delivered boundary, you detach from their reaction and enforce the consequence. If they continue interrupting, you might calmly stop talking until they're done, then reiterate. Or, if it's extreme, you might politely end the conversation and walk away. The consequence isn't punishment, it's simply what happens when your boundary is crossed. It takes courage, yes. It might feel uncomfortable at first because you're challenging old patterns, both yours and theirs. But enforcing boundaries isn't about being confrontational. It's about self-respect. It's about protecting your energy, your time, and your peace. And ultimately, it builds respect from others because they learn you mean what you say. Ready to explore another layer of the sovereign mindset? Next, we're going to challenge a fundamental belief, what true loyalty actually looks like and why unconditional servitude is a trap. You've mastered unreadability. You understand the power of your absence, and you fortified your boundaries like an unshakable fortress. Now that you're operating from a place of immense personal strength, let's talk about building relationships from a place of true value, not servitude. For many of us, loyalty is ingrained as an unconditional virtue. We're taught to be loyal to friends, family, colleagues, no matter what. But I'm here to tell you, true loyalty is earned, not demanded. And it is fundamentally a two-way street. Unconditional servitude, giving blindly without receiving, that's not loyalty. That's a direct route to resentment and exploitation. Think about it. If you're always the one giving, always initiating, always compromising, always showing up, while the other person consistently takes without offering genuine support or consideration in return, that's not loyalty. That's a one-sided burden. How do you spot these one-sided dynamics? Look for these red flags. They're constantly asking but rarely giving. They only reach out when they need something, never just to connect or support you. Your support is expected, almost taken for granted, while theirs is entirely optional or non-existent. They celebrate your failures subtly, but are conspicuously absent during your triumphs. When you identify these imbalances, the sovereign move isn't to lash out. It's to engage in strategic withdrawal from non-reciprocal dynamics. This isn't about revenge. It's about reallocating your valuable energy, time, and emotional investment to relationships that genuinely honor and reciprocate your efforts. It's about having the courage to slowly, calmly, and sometimes even silently, rebalance the scales, or simply walk away from those who consistently drain your resources without contribution. This allows you to cultivate space for truly reciprocal, healthy connections. It allows you to protect your peace. This brings us to a crucial point about the very nature of this sovereign mindset. Is it about becoming cold, calculating, manipulative? Absolutely not. Next, we're going to tackle the biggest misconception about this path, the idea of moving beyond good and bad, and why it's essential for ethical self-empowerment. Now, as we've explored these layers of the sovereign mindset, from unreadability to strategic absence and unshakable boundaries, some of you might be thinking, isn't this just about being manipulative or cold? Am I becoming a bad person? And that brings us to the crucial distinction of the ethical sovereign. Let me be absolutely clear. This path is not about exploiting others. It's about preventing your own exploitation. It's about being strategically smart, not so you can control others, but so you can genuinely choose who to be open with, who to trust, and who to invest your precious energy in, rather than being forced into vulnerability. Think of it this way. When you are naive, when you lack boundaries, you become a target. You are constantly reacting, constantly defending, constantly drained. That leaves you little energy for genuine connection, for creativity, or for building the life you truly want. When you master your sovereignty, when you understand these dynamics, you aren't becoming heartless. You're becoming harder to exploit, so your heart can genuinely connect. You create a safe space for authentic relationships to flourish. You attract people who respect your boundaries, who appreciate your presence because your strength commands it, not your perceived weakness. It's about having the discernment to know when to be open and when to be reserved, when to give generously and when to protect your resources. It's about being empowered so you can truly live aligned with your values, rather than being constantly swayed or diminished by external forces. This is the true definition of power, the power of self-ownership. The sovereign mindset isn't about being heartless. It's about being harder to exploit so your heart can genuinely connect. And speaking of genuine connection, our next and final step ties into something incredibly personal: breaking free from the roles others have cast you in. It's about reclaiming your own narrative. We've journeyed through understanding deception, mastering unreadability, leveraging strategic absence, fortifying our boundaries, and embracing ethical empowerment. Now for the final, deeply personal step in cultivating your sovereign mindset, breaking free from the scripts others have written for you. Think about it. From childhood, we're assigned roles by our families, our friends, society at large. You're the strong one. You're the quiet one. You're always the peacemaker. You're the funny one. Or perhaps even more insidious ones. You're too sensitive. You're too emotional. Are you living a role that was assigned to you, rather than one you consciously chose? Are you contorting yourself to fit expectations that don't align with your true self? It's time to realize that you have absolute power to burn that script. This is the ultimate act of sovereignty. It's about defining your identity, your values, your passions, and your unique path, independent of external validation or approval. It often feels uncomfortable, even terrifying, because you're challenging deeply ingrained expectations, both yours and others. But it is precisely where true freedom lies. It's where your authentic power resides. What script are you ready to burn today? Is there a role you've been playing that no longer serves you? Take a moment to reflect on that. I'd love to hear your insights in the comments. And this brings us back to something I promised you at the very beginning of this video. That number one mistake even the smartest people make that leaves them utterly vulnerable. The number one mistake is assuming others operate with your same level of integrity, your same good intentions, or your same definition of loyalty. It's the assumption that everyone is playing by your script, a script based on fairness, honesty, and mutual respect. But when you assume others share your script, you become blind to their unreadability, susceptible to their strategic absence, and unable to enforce your boundaries effectively. You fall into their narrative rather than writing your own. Understanding this isn't a license to be cynical, it's a call to be aware. It's the ultimate ethical sovereign act, protecting yourself not by manipulating, but by refusing to be manipulated, by consciously writing and living your own magnificent script. So, we've navigated the complexities of a strategic world, from challenging the myth of naive goodness to mastering unreadability, understanding the power of absence, fortifying your boundaries, building truly reciprocal relationships, and finally, bravely burning the scripts others wrote for you. You've also discovered the number one mistake that leaves us vulnerable: assuming others operate with your same integrity. This journey to a sovereign mindset isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more you, the authentic, unshakable, influential, and truly free version of yourself. It's about empowerment from within, so you can engage with the world on your terms, with clarity and unwavering self-respect. If this video made you think, if it challenged a long-held belief, or if it sparked a desire for true self-ownership, please hit that like button right now. Your support helps this message reach more people who need to hear it. And if you're ready to continue building your inner fortress, to unlock even more insights on navigating complex social dynamics and mastering your mindset, then make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss our next deep dive into practical wisdom for modern life. Remember, it's not about being good or bad. It's about being unbreakable. The journey to a sovereign mindset begins with a single step: choosing awareness over naivety and strategic strength over passive vulnerability. It's choosing to write your own magnificent story. If you're ready to start building your inner fortress, to truly claim your sovereignty, comment "sovereign" below. Let me know what boundary you're ready to enforce, or what script you're ready to burn. I read every comment, and I'm here to support your journey.